Now, what we're now being told is the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, has declared the fire a major incident. We will continue to track that story, but now I want to shift focus to Jammu and Kashmir. A massive terror wave hit the valley late last night. In a spate of terrorist strikes, terrorists carried out 6 terror attacks in 5 hours. A red alert has now been sounded across the state. So the first terror attack, it started from Tral in South Kashmir, where Pakistan-backed Hizbul Mujahideen terrorists attacked a CRPF camp. Terrorists then lobbed a grenade at a CRPF camp. 10 Jawans were injured, 3 are critical. An army camp was also targeted. In Anantnag, a High Court judge's house was targeted. Terrorists snatched the rifle of police personnel on duty. 2 policemen were injured. In nearby Avantipura, 2 terrorists, they were on a motorcycle. They lobbed a grenade at a CRPF camp. Fortunately, the blast was outside the boundary wall, but unfortunately, the terrorists succeeded in escaping. The 5th attack took place in Pulwama, where terrorists hurled a grenade again at a police station. Terrorists also targeted the camp of 22nd Battalion of the Rashtriya Rifles. What we are now told is that Rashtriya Rifles personnel fired back at these terrorists. So why this sudden spike in the terror attack, and why on the 17th day of Ramzan? India Today's managing editor Rahul Kanwal put this question to SP Vaid, the Director General of the Jammu and Kashmir Police. Let's listen in.
In the month of Ramzan, this day is a special day, and there were already inputs about terrorists lobbing grenades on the security force camps, and I think they have tried that, but with the minimum damage, we could avoid the damage which they intended to cause. Yeah, the establishments wherever they are in the valley are all on the high alert, and I am sure they will take on these people and tackle the situation very well.
And the burning question on the broadcast: 6 terror attacks in 5 years. Are Pakistan's proxies hitting back? Can these terror attacks be linked to action that's being taken against the separatists? This spike in terror on the 17th day of Ramzan, is this rising radicalization of what was earlier seen as a political movement? And I want to bring into this conversation Shabnam Lone. She's a senior lawyer. She's a very prominent Kashmiri voice on the broadcast. Also Major General G.D. Bakshi, a noted defense analyst. Shabnam Lone, I want to start with you, madam. What do you make of these terror attacks? 6 attacks in 5 hours on the 17th day of Ramzan.
Well, usually, you know, for the last 20 or 25 years, Gaurav, it is usually understood that there may be a spike in terror attacks during Ramadan. Let me assure you, it has got nothing to do with radicalization. Radicalization of the ISIS is a pan-global phenomena. So if you find some boys who might put up ISIS banners, take it from me, Kashmir will rise above the religious extremism and will not allow religious extremism to bind the valley. Having said that, let me again tell you that Kashmir is a boiling political cauldron. It is a latent political volcano. We cannot look the other side now and just pin the whole blame on Pakistan. Yes, Pakistan has played its role. It has been playing its role since 1947. It has been playing its role till 1953, 54. You saw the Kashmir conspiracy case. It is the Abdullahs who basically got funded
happened 3
through
days ago, madam.
Billions of rupees.
13 Pakistani terrorists killed at the line of control. Desperate Pakistani terrorists killed at the line of control. Even though security forces were there, they were trying to come in 6 different encounters, and what we saw, that they had suicide belts strapped to them. So what they were planning was something very, very dangerous, perhaps on the 17th day of Ramzan. And I want to bring in General G.D. Bakshi. General Bakshi, madam, I will come back to you, but General Bakshi, do you see a connection, and is this political, or is this far more dangerous, and we have an ostrich-like attitude, sir?
Look, Gaurav, what I would like to state unequivocally is that every time that the Amarnath Yatra takes place, there is a spurt of incidents. In the holy month of Ramadan, paradoxically, there is always a spurt of incident, and the 17th day of Ramadan is, generally people are on the alert because this is the day on which they go out of the way to create such kind of incidents. The number of attacks may have been large number, but these are mostly low-grade attacks that involve standoff fire on the post, and have been rather ineffectual in terms of the fact that there are just two of the police boys who've been wounded, and one of them has been a little lax, had his rifle snatched away. 3 CRPF
jawans are critical.
So these are low-grade attacks. These are not.
No, but that is because the security forces were alert at the line of control, and 13 terrorists with suicide belts have been wiped out in multiple operations. So Pakistan was trying something really dangerous this year around the 17th day of Ramzan. We were very lucky. India was very lucky that those terrorists were eliminated at the LC, General.
That is precisely what I am saying. We had fairly good intelligence of what was to come. There are, as you are aware, 60 terrorists waiting at 11 launch pads across the line of control, whom Pakistan has been desperately trying to push across the line of control in the last 2 weeks. Like you very rightly brought out, 13 of them have been eliminated, and that's a very fair number. That's a very fair number of those who made the initial attempts have been eliminated. We are also aware that the NIA has gone hammer and tongs to absolutely take down the terror financing networks that were there via the Hurriyat, via the Hawala circuits, via the Khwaja, Khwaja traders, Khwaja Mullah traders in the
That's a very important point you're making.
A fair amount of that has been hit.
And is that why we are seeing a spike in these terror attacks?
We were anticipating that they would try and hit back.
General, you made a very important point. Let me get Madam Shabnam Lone to respond to that. Shabnam Lone,
that is why we were anticipating.
Yes. So is this how Pakistan's proxies hit back? Because Pakistan's proxies are being investigated, because the NIA, the Enforcement Directorate, is tightening the noose around terror funding. That's why this is how terrorists hit back.
You see, what General Bakshi Saab pointed out about NIA raids, I'm in agreement with him out there. If people have made assets which are disproportionate to their known sources of income, let the law take its course. And why was the law sleeping for these 2 decades? That has to be answered. Now, having said that, let me come to the moot point. Where we know where we are coming from. Of course, Pakistan has played a major role, but militancy can only survive, Gaurav and Major General Saab, if they find local support. And local support they find when there is mass discontent within the population. This mass discontent is the result of successive, extremely corrupt, ineffective governments and the unnecessary reliance of Government of India on 2 families, the Muftis and the Abdullahs, who are expired political medicine now.
Okay.
Now, let me say this again. There has to be a policy in place. You cannot be constantly feuding with the common Kashmiri. You cannot constantly feud with him. You cannot feud with his sense of self-respect and dignity. The more you feud with him, with his sense of self-respect and dignity, the more you will find, the militants will find local support.
You know how much of this local support is actually manufactured and comes out of fear. Ma'am, I completely take your point, and I want General G.D. Bakshi to respond to that. Sir, does the centre rely extensively either on 2 families or on security forces instead of rooting out the problem of terror? Has the focus all along been containment, whether it's to pay the separatists, and Mr. Dulat has written in his book how Pakistan's proxies were paid even by government of India. So was there too much reliance only on containment? And now the effort should be to root out the problem. Root out the problem in Kashmir, solve it once and for all, deal with Pakistan separately, deal with Pakistan's proxies separately, and strengthen nationalist elements within the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Should that be the strategy? Is that the strategy, General?
You know, Gaurav, in the latest issue of the Indian Military Review, we have done a complete analysis of this. Let's first get to the causative factors. I'm afraid I will not be able to agree with Shabnam Lone that it is a political problem. The fact of the matter is, I'm very sorry, and let me be blunt as an army man, it is a communal problem. You know, the Khwaja trader combined, which formed the Jamaat-e-Islami, later they became the Ikhwanis and the Hurriyat. They have gone out of their way to go and communalize the valley, Wahhabize the valley, radicalize the valley, and turn it into today one vast ghetto, where because you stoke communal sentiments, because you stoke rabidly communal slogans, you can get the children to come out and pelt stones. You can start a riot anywhere in South Asia. Except the fact that everywhere we have gone against hammer and tongs. We have given communalism a bad name. Less in Kashmir, where it is, called politically, to be politically correct. It is a political problem.
Okay, it
is not a political problem. It is a communal, rabid communalization of the valley.
That's a huge point you're raising there, General.
Which has led to the ethnic cleansing of 4.5 lakh Kashmiri Pandits.
Okay, I'll get Shabnam Lone.
This
I want Shabnam Lone to respond to that.
This is radicalization.
We must call a spade, and on India Today we do call a spade a spade.
With great respect,
Madam, if you give me a moment, Madam, if you give me just one moment, Shabnam Lone, I want to come to this point. I want to come to this point, and especially about the point of radicalizing young children, burning schools, making them stone pelters. This aspect, Shabnam Lone and Jalji Bakshi, we will discuss on the other side of a quick break. But before that, before we take this break, let's listen into that terrorist Zakir Musa, a role model for some, promoted by many, especially by Pakistan. What is Zakir Musa saying? Let's listen to him. We'll go into this break. We'll come back into this debate. Stay with me on the burning question.
जो संगबाज भाई हमारे, उनको मैं कहना चाहता हूँ कि वो जब भी पत्थर उठाए तो वो इस्लाम के लिए हो, वो कश्मीर के लिए या किसी वतन के लिए ना हो, ये वतनियत की जंग ना हो, वो खालिस और खालिस इस्लाम के लिए हो। क्योंकि सब लोगों को पता ही है कि मतलब जो नेशनलिज्म है, मतलब वतनियत है, ये तो इस्लाम में हराम करार दी गई है।
6 terror attacks in the Kashmir Valley in 5 hours late last night. I quickly want to cut across to India Today's Shuja ul Haq, who joins us with the latest. Shuja, what have investigations revealed? What are police sources telling you about how are they trying to counter these terrorists?
Well, Gaurav, like we've been reporting since yesterday, 6 attacks took place almost simultaneously in various parts of Kashmir last night. The police was saying that they had intelligence input about possibility of such attacks, and that's why they had passed on these instructions to almost all the military installations, and perhaps that's the reason why we haven't seen any major casualty taking place. Most of the police sources are suggesting that they are still investigating who were behind it. But yesterday, let me tell you that after the first attack in Tral, Hizbul Mujahideen spokesperson called the local news agencies and claimed responsibility. Later on, there were phone calls coming in from Jaish-e-Mohammed, Al-Umar organizations, and claiming responsibilities for others. While these are the calls coming in from these militant organizations itself, the police officially has not really commented on who were behind these attacks, but are saying that we are constantly investigating them.
Okay, I also have India Today's Kamaljeet Kaur Sandhu joining us. Kamal, you've been speaking to your sources both in Jammu and Kashmir Police and in the Ministry of Home Affairs, and they see a religious connotation to these attacks on the 17th day of Ramzan.
Yes, it was the day of Jange Badar. There was information which came in around 6 o'clock. We've been speaking to our sources within Jammu Kashmir Police. They said that information was passed on to different camps. The information was with the army and CRPF till around 6:30. The information was very specific that there would be a spate of number of grenade attacks. That was eventually scripted, and that did happen. 3 to 4 hours after that input came in, there were number of attacks. We've also been told that the number of casualties were quite a lot. We know there were 10 in Tral. This is because a UBGL gun was used and a grenade hit the mess where the CRPF Jawans were, and that is why there were a number of injuries there. The other part is obviously when the rifles were snatched. We were told 4 rifles were snatched, but what was disappointing was that the reaction time we've seen in the earlier 2-3 instances where there was retaliation and the guns were not able to be snatched. But this time around, it could not be foiled. The response was not there. But yes, Jammu Kashmir Police said they've been acting on specific information. They are the ones who really generate a lot of information coming in, and they expect that things may temper down a bit. But remember, this seems to be a situation which seems to be on a boil for quite some time. And obviously, at this point of time, a lot of pressure on security forces as well.
What does this then mean for the Amarnath Yatra? That question on the other side of a quick break. Shabnam Lone, Major General G.D. Bakshi, Kamaljeet Kaur Sandhu, and India Today's correspondents on Ground Zero, Shujaul Haq and Ankit Tyagi will join me on the other side of a quick break. Stay with us.